Hey guys, it's downphoenix. Fuck a bub in a tub. Fuck you, top 5 nostalgia games. Okay, so it's not actually Down Phoenix doing this video because he already did one where he talked about his top 5 nostalgia games. And if you're familiar with those tag videos, guess who he tagged? So now, and since with him bugging me about putting this video out, I figured I'd amuse him. Plus, it gets out a video for you guys to see, and well, you get to see a little bit of what I would consider my top 5 nostalgia games. Now, while going through my list of top 5 nostalgia games, I noticed that for the most part, actually, not even for the most part, for all of it, it's mostly Super Nintendo games. So it seems kind of a little weird to me to call them the nostalgia games, so I decided to call them the top 5 nostalgic Super Nintendo games. I don't know why it's only a top 5, guess we're all lazy and stuff, because, you know, forget top 10s and 10 plus 1s. So let's do this. Oh, and just to note, not ranking any of these nostalgic games in any particular order. I mean, some of them I do feel a little bit more nostalgic towards, but otherwise, there's no ranking to them, so keep that in mind. So starting off this top 5 nostalgic SNES games is the Donkey Kong trilogy. Although that seems kind of cheap, just having 3 games right off the bat and kind of like a cheap way to get out. So I'm just only going to pick one of them, but I figured I'd bring up the other 2 as being nostalgic to me as well. But the most nostalgic is the original Donkey Kong Country. Why? Well, I still remember how amazing it was, and this game aged really, really well. Like, it's still a lot of fun to play. It's still great to look at, great to listen, and just like all around, it's just like still one of my favorites. Like I would pop this into my Super Nintendo any time of the day, any time of the week, of all time to play, because it's just back then it was just such a it just looked amazing to me. Like it looked great, and it still looks great with its pseudo 3D pre-rendered graphic or computerized graphics. It looked so cool. And not only that, the music sounded great too, especially, like, it was very fitting in a lot of the levels too. Like, it was very appropriate and it sounded great too. The map music definitely is such a nice jingle. The like, it's just like, that's so nostalgic. Like, it just brings me back. And the gameplay, it's a platformer, but there's something about it feels really satisfying when playing, when going through the levels. It's just, it feels right. It feels like it's done right, and it's still very, very nostalgic to me. Plus, there's 2-player with it, so you can play with another person. Or if you're by yourself, you just play with two Kongs and just go through the levels, going through Donkey Kong Country and getting some bananas back. So yeah, this would be one of my nostalgic SNES games. Next on the list is the Kirby games I've owned. I'm actually missing one of them, Kirby's Avalanche, because someone destroyed that one, but I still have the other 2 here. Kirby's Dream Course and Kirby's Superstar. And I was kind of a little conflicted on which one's more nostalgic, because I feel more nostalgia for Kirby's Dream Course, because essentially it's a golf game with Kirby and a few other mechanics that make it really, really quirky and fun to play, especially the 2-player mode. Like that, the 2-player mode was great. Always trolled my cousins, and my cousins trolled me. And well, we trolled everyone who played it. Essentially, nobody went for the goal. Everyone, just like whoever was playing, just knocked each other off the course, and just like watch their energy bar go down, and just keeps going and going. And the fun part was grabbing all the power-ups to like have all these effects that would fuck up the other player. Like the fireball would set them on fire, the electricity would shock them and make them lose energy, or the freeze to make them be frozen, or the spike or rock, with the rock like squashing them, or the spike like poking them and stabbing them. Like nostalgic wise, I think this one wins over Kirby Superstar. Like Kirby Superstar is great too. What was it? 8 games in 1, although I think that's actually, yeah, 8 games in 1 plus 2 mini games. Like, great game, but nostalgic-wise, I feel more for Dream Course. Dream Course was just a lot of fun. Music once again sounds great, and also it looks the graphics also look really, really clean. Like, it just feels very refreshing and just very, very clean. Like, just it's not overloaded with details on it. But yeah, definitely, if I had to say between the two, Kirby Superstar is a better game, but Dream Course, I feel a lot more nostalgic for, especially when you play it with people. And both games have 2-player modes too. Kirby Superstar being better, but this one is just a lot more. The Dream Course, a lot more nostalgic. Kirby's Dream Course, a lot more nostalgic, and just like, you know, I would like to play it again with someone and just completely fool around in the multiplayer. So yeah, Kirby's Dream Course wins in a nostalgic factor over Kirby Superstar, even though it's a much better game. Next one on the list, Super Mario RPG. Probably my favorite RPG of all time, because not only do I think it's the greatest of them, it also corrupted my taste for RPGs, because all your other RPGs suck if they don't have timed hits or mechanics like Super Mario RPG that just make it so much more engaging. Let's see, what's so nostalgic about it? Well, once again, kind of like with the Donkey Kong Country series, it really wowed me with how it looks with pseudo 3D and pre-rendered graphics. Like, it was just so cool. You don't see that anywhere on any other games. Every game's all on a 2D sprite plane. Yeah, I know Donkey Kong Country was on a 2D plane too, but it looked and felt like it was kind of 3D without being 3D, hence being called pseudo 3D. Pseudo 3D. But yeah, I also remember this too, like, this game, man, I accomplished so much in this game as a kid, like figuring out all that stuff, figuring out all like the things you gotta do to get through the game, and I think this game also helped me with my English too, because you had to read a lot, and a lot of the stuff I didn't get, so I had to actually eventually learn. One of the most nostalgic, memorable things is when you're in the sunken ship and you gotta get the password to open the door. I was stuck there for the longest time without knowing what's the password? I don't get it. Like it's not hard for an adult to figure out what it is, but for a kid, like back in grade 3, like it was like, wow, what is this? Eventually, I did figure it out, and I felt really accomplished doing that. Plus, I really, really, really like the combat system. I feel more RPGs need to have the timed hit system where you're involved in the fight and not something stupid like, say, for instance, Final Fantasy, which I don't like because it sucks, mainly for the combat. But it's funny because Square made this and they made Final Fantasy, so clearly Square knows what they're doing, just not well enough. But the timed hit mechanic, it's just so great. Like if you time your button presses right, you always hit and always do a critical. And when an enemy attacks you, if you press it at the right time, you will block it and greatly reduce the damage or take no damage at all. Which was what was really cool. It was very, very involving. Unlike Final Fantasy, or dare I say it, Chrono Trigger, where you're just you're just relying on your characters to hope they'll dodge the attack, hope they'll not miss, hope they'll do a critical, just like, you have no involvement or real influence over that except, grinding them up. Mario RPG, there is a little bit of grinding, as I found out a little later, but overall, like, you have control over the combat. The only reason you lose is because you suck. And that was what was so great about it. Also, music sounds great, and the story is, it's not about rescuing Peach over and over again. This one is a completely original story for the Mario series, and it's still really cool. You meet a bunch of really cool characters, like everyone's favorite Geno. I wouldn't say he's my favorite, but I do like him a lot. Mallow and all these other characters in the game. But yeah, I really, really like Mario RPG. I would play it again and again, because it's the only one that, it's one of the few that gets me, like, engaged in an RPG game. Because every other RPG is just the same thing, Final Fantasy Tactics. Press button, hope they don't fuck up, and then they get themselves fucking killed. You get angry, and it's like, well, I had no control over that. This one you have control. And yeah, a lot of people say it's easy. The game's easy, but you know what? That's because you don't suck at the game. So shut the fuck up. If you find it easy, it means you don't suck. But yeah, only a few other games like kind of tried to follow the game, which ironically is the only series I follow, is Mario Superstar Saga and the Mario and Luigi games, which, you know, it's good enough that I would actually play them, but not as good as the original, where it was just fun. And that's what I really liked about it. Really nostalgic, and also looking at the strategy guide, which once again, since I didn't know how to read or understand it, and my cousin didn't know shit either, we just enjoyed looking at the pictures. Real nostalgia here. So this next game right here has quite a bit of nostalgia now that I think about it. If I think about like how I came across this game, and it's also kind of, I don't know whether you'd say ironic or coincidence, because Illusion of Gaia is the spiritual successor to Soul Blazer, a game that downphoenix also put on his list in his top 5 nostalgia games. Soul Blazer was alright. It was definitely very interesting going backwards and seeing what was the game before Illusion of Gaia that Enix made. And, well, Soul Blazer was pretty for the time. I wouldn't say it's great, but Illusion of Gaia, fucking great. Gotta talk about the backstory of how I got this game, because it's quite interesting, thinking back to it. So back then at a flea market, saw a bunch of people like playing Link's Awakening on the computer. And to me, back then when I was like, I don't know, 5, 6, or 7, somewhere young, it's like, oh wow, that game looks so cool, I wanted to. Oh yeah, they were playing Link's Awakening on a computer. What the fuck's a computer? This was all new at the time. It wasn't even called, well, it was a computer technically, but it was a Mac computer back then, and it was like, that's also my first sighting of emulators. Of course, I didn't know what an emulator was, but I saw the game Link's Awakening, and I was like, oh, so cool, this character, he just swings swords around and like cutting leaves and shit. But of course, being young and not thinking properly, because, you know, young kids are stupid, let's be honest, didn't bother to remember what the title of the game was, or even like look it up or ask about it, because hey, gameplay. Yeah. So eventually it was like, oh hey, I want that game, I want Link's Awakening, but not knowing that it's called Link's Awakening. So once again, back to the same flea market, made the greatest mistake in my life in mistaking Illusion of Gaia for Link's Awakening, because it came with a manual and it showed pictures. Oh yeah, manuals back then were really, really cool. Even seeing all the pictures is neat. But saw it. The game looked similar. I don't know how, but it looked and played similarly. So I was just like, oh, it's that game. I want that game. Got it. Made the greatest mistake of my life, because because Illusion of Gaia is on the same level or even better than Link's Awakening. Greatest mistake ever made by me, and it was so worth it. So yeah, let's actually talk about what's so nostalgic about it. Just like with Mario RPG, where you had to figure out a lot of things, like in this game, figuring out the stuff in here, I felt very accomplished as a kid figuring out how to get through all the stuff. And it also helped that the manual that came with it also has a mini guide. No, not even a mini guide, a full walkthrough of the entire game. That was so cool. That was the coolest thing. So it's tough to say if I can judge this game fairly, being that as a kid the manual came with a guide that essentially just spoiled everything. But I didn't care back then. It was just like, oh cool, I know all the secrets of here. Definitely helped with finding the red jewels. But so figuring out what to do in the game felt very accomplished, and also probably helped me with my reading, because there is a lot of dialogue that you go through to read, and also flavor text where you talk to people and such, typical stuff. So thanks to mistaking it as Link's Awakening, it essentially is a Zelda game. It plays essentially the same thing, but with its own twist on it, where it's not, going through dungeons and stuff. You're going on a grand adventure. And what's the goal of the grand adventure? Well, this kid named Will just wants to find his dad, who disappeared somewhere when they were on a journey. That's it. But along the way, he ends up saving the entire world, so it feels kind of modest, and that, the whole grand scheme of saving the world is like weaved in, not subtly, but, smoothly and not very forced upon you. Like, his father didn't say anything about, Will, you're gonna save the world, so do it. No, it's just like, hey, I'm over here, but to find me, you gotta do this, this, and this. Will ends up unintentionally saving the world, and that's pretty cool. Also, there's so much good music in this game that, like, I really like. I have it on my phone. Also, the graphics look great. Like, the sprite detail is just right. It's not too dense. It's not bland. It's just right. It feels rich and colorful. That's what I really like about it. Gameplay, like I said earlier, it plays like a Zelda game, and that's pretty cool. It's not as simplistic as, well, it's slightly more complex than Zelda. You can block, use special attacks, and but essentially it's the same thing as Zelda. At the end, you fight certain bosses in certain places that grab these mystic statues to help save, or help get to where your father is. But yeah, Original Guide is such a great adventure to go through. Don't let any French Godzillas tell you otherwise, okay? Because this game is great, and I would definitely say I would definitely highly recommend this title. And also for me, it's nostalgic factor for me, because it's just it's like a storybook that you go through. It's just like, occasionally come back, read it, and just go through the adventure all over again. And the part where you go to the ocean palace to fight vampires, probably the most unintentionally scary part of the game for me. Oh yeah, music very fitting in certain moods. Like, it just felt like that's what you would hear in the environments. Like I said with, actually no, not the ocean palace, no. There's like a scary mood music in this game that's like really, really chilling for it. But yeah, enough talking about Illusion of God. Let's get to the next one. Alright, here's the next one. Now, you might be noticing that I've been picking, like, first-party Nintendo games by nostalgia. Well, what's wrong with that? They're good games. It just so happens they're also nostalgic to me. Such as this one, Super Metroid. Why is it so nostalgic to me? Well, as a kid, I was really into sci-fi. Like, it was just the imagination, like, going, like, beyond what was around at the time and what was around me, being all normal and stuff. And Super Metroid was a sci-fi game. So yeah, I ended up like really, really liking it. And just, once again, like with the other games I mentioned, is that I felt very accomplished going through this game as a kid, because there was just a lot of moments where it would have been simple for an adult for it to figure out, or someone way older than me. But as a kid, it was just like, I didn't know this stuff, so when figuring it out, I've just felt so accomplished doing it. Like, for instance, before you fight, who was it? Who was that one boss? Who was that second boss you fought in Brinstar? Kraid, yeah. Kraid. For the longest time, I couldn't get the Kraid because I was really conservative of my missiles, because it's like, oh, my special weapons, I should only use it for the boss. Fucking dumbass, indeed. But then, to be fair, the game never told me about blasting a certain type of door with missiles. You see, because right before fighting Kraid, there's this door where it has an eyeball on it, and it wasn't colored like, the pink or green door, so it's like, oh, this one must not use missiles or anything. Didn't realize that for the longest time, and so just like kept getting stuck for no reason. Potentially almost accidentally learning to speedrun, because, going through Norfair without the Varia suit. But eventually figured out that, you could shoot missiles in these fucking doors. Obviously didn't say fucking. Kept going through the entire game. And, you know, the adventure through the entire game is great. Just blasting things, collecting items, finding secrets, fighting bosses, and just like absorbing the atmosphere of the game. Music's great, as always, because it's just like, it was very, very fitting for like certain places, and sometimes maybe not, but you know, it helped the mood of the music. Like after going through Brinstar, when you go to the sewer, the red sewer looking area, and it plays that really grim music where it's like you're all alone, and it creeps up on you and stuff. That was such a great track, probably one of my favorites. But yeah, going through, another accomplished moment is figuring out how to get to, what was that water world where it's not Aquaria, but essentially there's this part where you had to use a power bomb to blow up a tube to get to the water area that you've passed by several times. Randomly solved it, and it was like, oh my god, I did not need to look up a guide to figure that out. Like as much of a freak accident as it was, because it was just like on the map screen. Oh yeah, the map part of the thing is one of the best features, and which is why I liked it over the original, the previous Metroid games where they didn't have a map, and you know, you had to draw it out, and the game would be huge and stuff. Super Metroid improved a lot over those previous games. But anyways, going back to that too, it was just like, it always looked weird to me. Like when going through that area the first time, there's only 3 blocks of that area, and it was just like, something's weird. But then when you get to that point, most part of the map is revealed, but it's like you end up right back over here. It's just like, I know there's something you gotta do, so what the fuck do I do? Shoot missiles everywhere, plant the bomb, then the tube cracked, and it's like, I figured it out! And then went to the game as normal. Oh, and another part that like it's also nostalgic is the crash ship where you fight what was it, Phantoon, or like fuck was it, the Phantom Brain Squid? It was just like, that was fucking creepy as hell, especially the music, and the whole entire place is all desolated and isolated. Like nobody's on the ship, no one's alive anymore except for these ghosts around. It's like, there's ghosts in a sci-fi game. It's like, oh my god, that's fucking creepy. And then find this Phantom Mother Brain. But yeah, graphics look great. It had a very, very rich atmosphere, like that's very fitting for the sci-fi part of it. The action is great, and it only gets better with time as you get better with the game, because there's like so many tricks and things you can do. Like if you've seen any speed runs, there are so many ways to speed run Super Metroid because the game is so well designed. Yeah, it's well designed, but it's also done in such a way that you don't have to go through it the normal way. You could, but you can also like what's that word called where you just sequence break, where you break the sequence, where you go to places where you're not supposed to be, and like, you know, that's really cool. No other game has done that, and that's kind of what made some of the future Metroid games not as cool. Like for instance, Metroid Fusion. You can't really sequence break the game. Nintendo just completely blocked it out, like acting all like, no, you can't follow our narrative and stuff. Like fuck you. It was so great breaking the game because it was thinking outside the box. Of course, I wasn't really able to do most of it, but it was still cool that I was able to. Oh, that reminds me. The part in Brinstar where you finally use the power bomb to go deep down this hole that you couldn't access before. Got trapped there as a kid, and this was where I officially learned how to do where you find these little ostrich aliens, or alien ostrich birdies that oh wait, no, they're not ostrich. These little imps, that space imp that like do wall jumping. That's where I officially learned to wall jump, because I was stuck there and I didn't understand this concept of wall jumping. So when I finally figured it out, it was like, oh, it was like there was like a lock in my head that just completely shattered. It was like, now I get what's going. Now I get this whole mechanic and stuff going on. But at that point, I was so depressed because I was like, I'm stuck here. I can't get out. Eventually figured it out. So that was quite a relief. The only other time I did wall jumping was in the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger game on Super Nintendo, when it too also trapped me in an area. But unlike Super Metroid, phone. But unlike Super Metroid, it at least gave you a hint of what you're supposed to do. But yeah, Super Metroid. Definitely a great fucking game that I'll play again and again, or at least after some time, we'll play it again. Alright, so one of the people I'm going to tag is D Tysonator, who plays retro games and is a great friend of mine who does many challenges, like beating Battletoads and no death, just like I did after his Battletoads no hit zits, and beating Mike Tyson blindfolded. So definitely check him out. Although the stuff he posts is mostly on ANC Games. But anyways, I'm gonna tag him because he probably has a lot of nostalgic games, and he has quite a few stories to talk about with histories of games and stuff. Very interesting. So I would definitely would tag him for it. Now another one would be Mini Ninjas, another friend of mine who does his Retro Ninja Gaming and other stuff. With his Retro Ninja Gaming, he just does, which ironically is called RNG, does pretty much, well, actually, I would say random games that go on, but mostly it mostly involves things that he's interested in, like ninjas for one, hence Mini Ninjas, and other stuff like stuff that he liked, like RoboCop, Castlevania, and other such things like that. And one of his videos that I really like was his Punisher video. Yes, I know. So definitely would tag him for asking him for his top 5 nostalgia games. Of course, I'm not going to force him to do it. Another one is Mike Maverick, a good buddy of mine who also loves video games, and if you're gonna sneeze! Video game reviews just like mine. He's very energetic in his videos, very passionate about it, and also does video game streams too. And it'd be fun to see what his top 5 nostalgic games would be as well, seeing that he also knows a bunch of games that I don't know, and also probably has a few games that I also don't own that I wouldn't really know about. So definitely would tag him for it. Now, let's see. Another one is Obsessive Gamer, that someone I know, and he's also very passionate and, well, mostly passionate about his video games. He also does video games reviews too. So, and he does quite a few. If I remember correctly, he also did a few top number videos. So, hey, perhaps this one would add to that top video list of nostalgia games. So yeah, Obsessive Gamer, and I know who you are. Top 5 nostalgic games. Go. Not gonna force you to do it though. And last one. This one was kind of tough, trying to figure out who to tag for top 5 nostalgic game. But I decided to pick the Retromancers. Those guys seem to have a lot of fun, like playing video games and doing videos on them. It's two guys, and they play games together, and they seem to have a lot of fun doing it. Just very natural, not forced or scripted. Just very natural, and playing their video games and just doing the stuff that they like. So I would tag them for the top 5 nostalgia games. Although in that case, I think they'd each have to do their own, which would then be top 10-ish. Alright, so there, top 5 nostalgic SNES games, because, well, my list was comprised mostly of SNES games, so might as well have went with that as opposed to overall nostalgic game. So, hopefully downphoenix is satisfied about that. Like I said, probably didn't do the video right, because talking about nostalgia is kind of tough, and also tagged 5 other people, but this is Whisper100, you're the viewers, and I'm the reviewer. And in this case, the top videoer. Stay tuned for more for Battletoads! Genesis! And, well, you get to see a little bit of what I would consider my top 5 nostalgic games. Now, while going through my list of top 5 nostalgic games, I noticed that for the most part, actually, not even for the most part, for all of it, it's mostly Super Nintendo games. So it seems kind of a little weird to me to call them the nostalgic games, so I decided to call them the top 5 nostalgic Super Nintendo games. I don't know why it's only a top 5, guess we're all lazy and stuff, because, you know, we get top 10s and 10 plus 1s, so let's do this. Oh, and just to note, not ranking any of these nostalgic games in any particular order. Why? Well, I still remember how amazing it was, and this game aged really, really well. Like, it's still a lot of fun to play. It's still great to look at, great to listen, and just, like, all around, it's just, like, still one of my favorites. Like, I would pop this into my Super Nintendo any time of the day, any time of the week, of all time to play, because it's just... Back then, it was just such a... It just looked amazing to me. Like, it looked great, and it still looks great with its pseudo 3D pre-rendered graphic, or computerized graphic. I mean, some of them I do feel a little bit more nostalgic towards, but otherwise, there's no ranking to them, so keep that in mind. So starting off this top 5 nostalgic SNES games is the Donkey Kong Trilogy. Although that seems kind of cheap, just having 3 games right off the bat and kind of like a cheap way to get out. So I'm just only going to pick one of them, but I figured I'd bring up the other 2 as being nostalgic to me as well. But the most nostalgic is the original Donkey Kong Country. Hey guys, it's downphoenix. Fuck a bub in a tub. Fuck you, top 5 nostalgic games. Okay, so it's not actually downphoenix doing this video because he already did one where he talked about his top 5 nostalgic games. And if you're familiar with those tag videos, guess who he tagged? So now, and since with him bugging me about putting this video out, I figured I'd amuse him. Plus it gets out a video for you guys to see. Graphics, it was just, it looked so cool. And not only that, the music sounded great too, especially... Like, it was very fitting in a lot of the levels, too. Like, it was very appropriate, and it sounded great, too. The map music definitely is such a, like, a nice jingle. The... Like, it's just, like, that's so nostalgic. Like, it just brings me back. And the gameplay, it's a platformer, but, there's something about it feels really satisfying when playing, when going through the level.